Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to do something a little different. It's going to be what if someone else had found the Death Note. So looking through the Death Note anime, there are a few characters I see would personally take on the role of Kira. Characters that we already see in the series take on the persona other than Light, are always going either off of his orders or based on what they think Kira would do. The few times that we see characters, well, the other Kiras, try and do something for themselves, either goes wrong in one way or another, with Light being caught as Kira in the end as the main example because he was not caught by something that he did himself, but off of one of his other Kiras acting upon themselves, thinking that Light had not written a name in Death Note, so he did it himself, which ended up getting Light caught in the end. This is why I see the most likely character to take a similar course to Light being Matsuda. So I know this will split opinions really early on, with most of you thinking that Matsuda wouldn't be able to pull it off because he's more of like a comic relief character. But despite this, he is very intelligent and quick thinking, as is shown by the fact that he is clearly a very young detective and clearly high ranking. He has a clear sense of justice, what's right and what's wrong, and early on in the actual investigations he showed some kind of sympathy towards Kira, not thinking that what he's doing is right, but seeing that his actions had actually improved society and actually lowered crime rates. But he also backtracks, saying how wrong what Kira is doing actually is, which is quite similar to how when Light had his memory wiped when he gave up Death Note, he was actually contradicting himself. He was thinking over and over again, would I do that? Is what he's doing right? Do the ends justify the means? Which actually brings a lot of similarities between Matsuda and Light. So I believe that the Death Note would fall outside of a police station rather than Light's school, so Matsuda would simply just pick it up and find it. He would take it out. He would take it home out of sheer intrigue. He would get home, read the rules of the Death Note and think it's fake. But being a detective, he has no doubtably seen his fair share of criminals get off scot-free for their crimes, and would be incredibly frustrated knowing that criminals, murderers, you name it, would be back on the streets doing what they've already done again and again. This in mind, he would write a name of a criminal that he had worked so hard on putting behind bars, only for them to go free. Not being able to see the results straight away, Matsuda would not know about the death for a couple of days until an officer or some report had brought the news to his attention. This would lead him to believe that the Death Note is in fact real. Now Matsuda would not take the same attitude towards Death Note as Light. He is not determined and as strong as Light. He is smart but also wanting to clean up the world, but has no intention of being the god of this new world, but to fix what is broken. This in mind, Matsuda would choose his victims very carefully, picking criminals that he saw would not reform but would just carry on with their heinous activities. This would make him more similar to the character of Dexter Morgan in Dexter, who was a criminal blood splatter analyst who killed criminals that just got through the cracks. This is only the start of where the differences between Light and Matsuda as Kira get into place. As a somewhat high-ranking officer, he would be able to use his connections to find out these criminals, but would choose to kill them in different ways, such as gang violence, and this would lead to not only one criminal getting killed, but another being arrested, essentially doing two criminals for the price of one, because Matsuda has seen all these actual acts, whereas Light has only read about them, he's heard about them, but Matsuda has actually seen them all firsthand. These kind of deaths are very common amongst criminals, so no one would see anything different to the actual deaths. They just see it as more criminals killing criminals, more crime, and no evidence would be linked back to Matsuda or even any kind of evidence as Kira. So Matsuda does meet Ryuk, and it's more of a banterous relationship than what he and Light had. So because Matsuda takes himself a whole lot less seriously. Now 2 years pass before Matsuda decides to start killing more well-known criminals, starting to up his game, and starts working on the FBI's most wanted list. This is what brings in L. L quickly finds a small connection between some deaths in Japan and some of the deaths of the FBI's most wanted. L finds the fact that more than a few young, high-ranking criminals in Japan and a few of the FBI's most wanted died of heart attacks. Yes, Matsuda did still kill some of them in this way. That is just because it wouldn't fit the character in to just die in like crimes of such nature. Some of them would not have died in gang violence or anything like that. So he would have to bring a heart attack to the forefront of the actual deaths. L, being L, would find this small connection and be drawn to the Kanto region of Japan, as this is where Matsuda would have done most of his work, killing the criminals that he knows about. Now this leads us to the original stunt that he pulled on TV in canon. This would not go to plan as L thought it would. For starters, there's no people worshipping Kira because they don't know about him, and this has just drawn the attention for many to his actions. This TV appearance was meant to draw Matsuda into a confrontation as it did for Light, but it is not in his character. Matsuda did not want to draw attention to himself and did not want anything that would bring L any closer to finding him. This being said, he did have a brief period of thinking about killing L there and then, but he decided not to, as it was not in his nature. L is a man of justice and not someone that Matsuda would want to kill. This delays L's initial investigations, forcing him to work with Japanese police sooner than originally planned. Matsuda is on the team, which gives him a slight edge on L. Matsuda is in a better position than Light would be at this stage. Light would still be learning about the Death Note when L first appeared, but Matsuda has had 2 years to actually understand it and has worked on different ways of killing and actually understands the Death Note more in depth. Now, despite the fact that Matsuda would not know that L would be watching the police, he still had a backup plan. So after L's appearance on TV, Matsuda would think, okay, I need to write some names in the Death Note and how they would die, just so that he could continue his actual life and just not draw any attention to himself. So he'd write a long list of names soon after L's appearance on TV and how they'd die, just so the deaths would continue, because L would have absolutely no idea about any way that the deaths were happening. So Light would be at university or college at this point, and he would still have some attention from L drawn to him with his clear intelligence and his connection to the police. This being said, out of instinct, L would not have the same fascination as Light as what he originally did, but he would still have some suspicion of him, but he would not be his number one target, as there was no one that he actually had as a clear target. Matsuda would not be a suspect, as most of the original cast would underestimate him as they did originally. Not much would change to how he would act in public, so the next stage of the story would be L inviting the detectives of the Japanese task force to join him, with a lot of them leaving the investigation and just the original detectives joining the case. There would be a little bit of tension between them, as little trust between the task force and L. So L, without his initial thoughts on Light, he would be forced into finding connections between deaths of every criminal. So L would see any criminal death as suspicious and find that this murderer, now worshipped as Kira, could kill in any way he wanted. Now I know what you're thinking, he is now known and worshipped. This is due to L appearing on TV and making the public aware of his actions, and word would spread quickly. Eventually this would mean that there would be a drop in crime rate in Japan and then slowly across the rest of the world. Now let's get on to the impact of Kira on Misa. Misa didn't originally find her fascination with Kira due to the death of a criminal that killed her parents, I believe that her story would not change, well, not much, due to the way that Matsuda chose who he killed. He chose to kill her parents' killer as he got away with an obvious murder. This would be followed by the death of a crazed fan in front of her. It would not be until now that she made the connection between the two deaths of these criminals to Kira after the TV announcement. She was given the Death Note 2 years prior but had not used it, but was with Rem, who was happy that she had not taken up killing. Once Kira has come to the public's knowledge, Misa is wanting to kill criminals to get his attention, so without actually making any contact with Matsuda, she actually never gets anywhere with him and eventually gets caught, with Elle deciding that they should not question her face to face as they don't know how she can kill. That means that Matsuda never has a chance to stop her giving away any information about the Death Note. Misa eventually cracks under interrogation, revealing the existence of the Death Note, but not the location that she has hidden hers. So she only reveals that she can kill with a face and a name by writing that name in the Death Note. The last thing that she reveals is the existence of the Shinigami. This is where I'll leave this part. So, is Matsuda screwed? Can he find a way to stop Elle getting close to him, to actually finding out the answers to all the questions that he has? Can he stop him from finding out the link between the Death Note and himself? All these and more questions to be answered next time. So I know there's a few loose ends in the actual video, but those will be answered next time. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all for part 2. Bye.